shut up, you listen to my monkey mouth. There's a companion when you got pun on the canoa route. Hopped in a portal and got in a fight, Elias knocked him out. Bow, Naruto fighting style. Bow, UFC he tapped out. Bow, we win, we get crowned. Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.
It's a bit of like a novella. So, man, welcome to SUYL. My name's Elias. Let's get your name, bud.
Justin
Suriff. Justin Suriff. So we were talking, man, like y'all guys, you were just on The Ones Who Woke Up. Check that out. It's The Ones Who Woke Up podcast with the big man Pun. He's just coming through with this beautiful, beautiful podcast that y'all guys did together. And man, one thing that y'all guys were kind of remarking on was your entrepreneurial spirit, which is great. And so you got a bunch of how do you say it? A bunch of such and such in the fire. Why can't I think of what it's called?
Irons in the fire.
Irons in the fire. And right now, man, I saw you were talking a bit about Kratom, which I watched. You see the opioid addiction kind of take hold of a lot of people, and it's definitely a market that's hurt and touched so many people. I think we all know somebody who's had substance abuse problems stem from back injuries or just car accidents, and really get stuck on just your average prescription drugs. And I know that Kratom can definitely parlay you into getting that it's an opioid with not so much of a receptor. It counteracts a different receptor that's a little bit better.
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking out of my ass.
It seems like you're very well educated on it. Actually,
well, I appreciate that.
Most people. If you're interested in the subject, I'll say there's am I loud enough? There's a great documentary on Netflix, and it's really good about showing both sides of the situation.
Yeah.
In a non-biased way. It's called Leaf of Faith.
Okay, yeah.
Check that out on Netflix. Hour and a half. It's a great video on Kratom or Kratom or Kratom, however you want to say it. I say Kratom.
So there's like different variants of it, right? Like there is with anything, like
yes
red
and no.
Kratom.
I'll explain. There is different, but not as differentiating as you might think.
Okay.
So you hit a lot of subjects there.
Yeah, I mean we can.
Very,
I'm a flashlight
impressive.
man. You be the laser beam.
We didn't get into this subject on The Ones Who Woke Up as much. I do have a Kratom brand called Naturally Kratom. Actually, even launching. Actually, have a couple Kratom items. I'll show one. I can take it myself. In the Escobar Pastel Cartel brand, like a little 30 mil. It's a very high dose, and it's like a creamy flavor, and it's got 150 milligrams of caffeine. So,
okay.
As you said, I take Kratom less for the pain relieving aspects, though it does, have those. I've got to be careful what I say as the brand owner, but I take more for the energy. Kratom is in the coffee family. It has energizing properties. But as you said, we've all known people, and the opiate addiction is truly an epidemic, especially with as much fentanyl getting mixed into anything these days. And even here just recently, someone pretty close in my family passed away, my younger cousin Kristen.
Well, sorry to hear about that, Pam.
Yeah, no, it was terrible. And we knew of her addiction for years, and it's very sad. I mean, she was trying. She'd been to multiple rehabs. She was actually just at a rehab for a month and said she was clean, and came home to visit her dad for 2 days, and made a mistake. And we're still waiting to find out if fentanyl was part of that. Obviously, it was heroin.
It's beginning to get so serious out there
almost
that
everything, and I'm all for not so much heroin. There are certain drugs you want to stay away from, and for me, even when I was younger and partying, it was meth and heroin. Those are addictive ones that cause your life to go down this spiral, and stay away from those. Right? Obviously, I never did crack, but I played in the party drugs, but you got to be very careful with those two, and I would say just don't do them, or know you've got the mindset that if you're gonna try it. But any drugs you do these days, whether it's Molly, whether it's cocaine, even in some situations weed, but not so much marijuana.
It was funny. I don't want to cut you off too much because I want you to keep deep in this, but I did hear something about boomers or people 50 to 65 years old were actually complaining because I don't think that they make, or there's not too much actual marijuana out there that THC level stays in the single digits anymore, and they're
Yeah.
having a lot of issues.
That would be, and actually some of the newer THC derivatives might be, Delta 8s and stuff could be a good solution for that on hemp flower or in a vape, like what we make. But where I was getting at is you've almost got to test if you are gonna take any drugs these days. Hopefully it's not heroin, but even if you're in that depth, or if it's cocaine or Molly or press tabs or whatever, you got to get a fentanyl test. Fentanyl's in everything, and just a couple grains can take you out, and so it's just not a risk.
I saw a documentary. Guy was like masked up with plastic gloves. Like it's a poison. It's not.
It can go through your skin and everything. So it's dangerous. Make sure if you're gonna do drugs, order you some fentanyl tests and at least do responsibly from that perspective. But back on to Kratom, it helps a lot of people, like you said, get off either legal prescription or illegal opiates that have all these negative side effects. And even speaking on that, beyond my cousin who Kratom had helped her get off for a bit, and she relapsed. But even my father had broke his back in Mexico on his honeymoon years ago. He actually drowned. His wife dove in. Oops. Did I? Uh-oh.
We're good. We're good.
Wasn't much in it.
Yeah, we're all good.
His wife jumped in and saved him and got him to the beach, and they were cliff jumping in Mexico for their honeymoon. Gave him mouth to mouth, had to go through an hour and to the Mexico hospital, had to pay $25,000 to air ambulance, flight him back to the U.S. Needless to say, a couple of years later, he was on morphine prescription and still had a lot of major back problems, still does. And it just made him a different person. He's kind of a pain in the ass type of person anyways a lot of times, but it made him much worse. And yeah. And as this Kratom opportunity come up through one of our employees who'd gotten off heroin, with Kratom, and told us about that, I tried it and I liked the energy, and it wasn't some odd high like I had expected. I was thinking it was gonna be some high that wasn't a risk I wanted to take, especially with some of my past. And then as I dug in more to it, and he was able to get off of morphine using Kratom, and if he's had his Kratom, he's usually in a good mood, makes him uppity. But Kratom, it like you said, a lot of people, and there's been a lot of a fight recently. It's the FDA and Big Pharma doesn't like Kratom because it provides a more affordable, all natural.
We can get on a whole diatribe of what the FDA thinks is suitable and unsuitable.
The thing is, the FDA has failed miserably. There's an organization called the American Kratom Association out there that has just smashed them. They got the DEA to emergency schedule it, and for the first emergency scheduling ever in the 80 years that power has been out by the DEA, they had it on there and they removed it due to science and public outcry. They tried to take it to the WHO and get it taken off the worldwide market. They failed there because the AKA had the science there behind it to show the side. And then now they go state by state trying to get it taken off the market. In many cases, as they're doing that and those votes are out there, the AKA goes and they give their presentation and say, hey, we're all for regulation, but let's not make this illegal.
Not to again talking out of my ass. I know some South American country just came up it's basically what is it? I think it was the UN. It was a South American president. And he was basically like, the war on drugs is over. Like, we're not gonna be doing this anymore.
Yeah.
It was a big to do. It was a big.
Well, the war on drugs, for the ones who woke up, I would say, it's a farce. I mean, there's plenty of explainer videos on YouTube. You cut the head off the snake, the snake's head sprouts into two. The war on drugs is a farce. It was always only ever meant to hold down, the poor and uneducated people, and I mean, you look at the crack laws. It's just a farce.
Cocaine and crack is
it's an unwinnable
crack,
war.
Right?
It's a waste of money. When I went through my legal matters, I remember one of the things my attorney said that's always stuck with me, and it didn't make sense in the moment, and I thought he was being trivial, and I thought it was like the day after I got arrested, like as I mentioned on Pun's podcast, by the feds, and told I'm facing 20 years and I'm going to meet with an attorney, and actually my attorney's now in prison for the rest of his life. Basically, he's an older guy. He got 16 years on a case of his own. unrelated to me, federally, not drugs, a bribery case. Look up Jamie Belasia. It's an insane case. But I'm going to get into all that. But one of the things he says to me is he says, Justin, you know why drugs are illegal? And in my head, I'm just remember like, I don't want some trivial bullshit. Like, why? Tell me why. All right? No, why? He said drugs are, or no, that's not what he said. I said that wrong. Do you know why drugs are bad? No, why? It seems true. Like, I didn't want to deal with it. Well, drugs are only bad because they're illegal. And it didn't, okay, cool, we moved on. And later, I remembered that as I was locked up doing my time and, kind of studying the things, and I realized, like, what he meant by that. Drugs are only bad because they're illegal, because if you would regulate and manage them, it wouldn't be so bad. Mexico wouldn't have the crime. There wouldn't be all these, this $30
There's not a black
billion
market.
illicit.
The cartel's not getting influx with
Right.
black market money. There's regulations so that people can do needle sites or fentanyl test sites, or even needle exchange sites, or there's certain European places where the building's painted black. You can actually use drugs safely there.
Which is crazy, actually. On the fentanyl test subject, I just learned recently, currently in Texas, though there's a company that's doing it, knowingly breaking the law. Fentanyl tests aren't legal.
Yeah.
Like, you can't go on Amazon or eBay or online and buy a fentanyl test to test your drugs legally. They won't ship it to Texas.
Well,
It seems ass backwards.
Well, you're dealing with a red state that deals in basically a lot of things that aren't exactly good for the overall community, but good for certain people to propagate wealth in certain circles, which is, that's everywhere. That's not just Texas. We have someone blue right now who is systematically holding down people of color and is a person of color themselves. So it's pretty much where the money is going to come from, and
Absolutely.
not so much where the freedom to do such things are going to come from. And that's just Coca-Cola is able to bulkily bring in coca leaves and utilize it in a way to make it drinkable for Coca-Cola, and extract certain aspects from the leaf. But it's still in there. They still regularly bring in coca leaves.
Right.
So to a certain extent, it's do you have hundreds of billions of dollars to be able to import coca leaves to propagate an addictive sugary soda that's making people diabetic and depressed and addictive? So it's I don't want to stay on this depressing stuff for too long, man.
Circling back around to Kratom, one thing I did want to throw out, based on what you said, is yes, Kratom does affect your opiate receptors, very similar to illegal opiates or prescription opiates. There are two main things that are benefits with Kratom. Obviously, it's all natural, but it doesn't deplete your dopamine or serotonin receptors, unlike other drugs where you're chasing a high, or you get these come downs, or the next day you feel like emotionally drained. It doesn't do any of that, and there's even a science behind that's kind of proven that's theoretically not addictive. I have seen there's a small percentage of sort of fiends or whatever that
everything has its dark side, right? I was just talking about soda water. Soda water has its dark side.
Absolutely.
One thing that I'm a weirdo, man. I get into I don't but I get particularly into things, whether it's cults. And one thing that is a cult that you had spoke about before is the cigarette industry. My mom was a Marlboro person from the age of 14, and if it hadn't have been for vapes, she would have continued to smoke until she probably would have given herself COPD, and had subsequently become another victim of big tobacco. So I can definitely appreciate that y'all guys came at this with a certain love and respect for the person who was addicted to this tarry substance and was able to get it in a more safer aspect. So I definitely can appreciate where you're coming from, and we owe you a big debt of gratitude, because she's at 3 milligrams. So technically, technically it's more of a flavor.
And so you've
time
seen
passer.
the experience. How she doesn't get sick as often. She's not coughing up stuff. She's not.
And I love the fact that, no offense to this guy right here, but You got to forgive me, so I'm going to look this up on my phone because I literally snapshotted it like 30 seconds ago. But no offense to Steven Dorff, but you beat him. So Steven Dorff was like one of the first guys I ever saw do BLU brand vapes.
Oh yeah.
And he was this big like actor in like 90s, was the villain on Blade.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And he was like one of the first guys, and so to know that, man, you jumped in quick and stayed with it. I mean, it wasn't a fad for you. With him, it was probably essentially something that was a fad that he probably got told in a lunch circle, a dinner party, and was like, hey, there's this thing coming up. It's got a cool light at the end. It's blue,
Yeah. I mean, I used to vape the blues. I mean, this business became fortunately very profitable, and we saw the benefits for those that were the consumers, and it blew up. It actually is really cool recently, surprisingly, and I think Chris is actually the one that sent it to me. I was at a trade show. Randomly, Joe Rogan was doing a podcast and mentioned Escobars. Yeah, these things he was talking about, the brand, and then actually
made the tummy
it was
tingle.
with who was it? Who was it with? The comedian Theo Vaughn. And so they were talking about him, and
hey man,
Theo
I'm just
Vaughn
trying
was
to spread
talking about
love,
the
man.
flavors, and he said something about flavors kiwi puberty, and then actually Joe went on Steve Vaughn's show.
Oh, okay.
And they talked about him again, and Joe pulls one up, takes a big old hit. So it's pretty cool. It was like that wasn't planned.
Your circle just gets
it's
smaller.
I mean, I don't
and
know
you're-
Joe yet or not.
Well, no, I'm just saying like.
The other night, I went and saw the Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan did a stand-up show at the Vulcan.
Mhm.
Every single comedian on stage was smoking an Escobar.
Actually, I think some of my team was there and took them another goodie kit
That's probably
either
why.
before or after, and even gave Joe a little gift. I actually got a
Big Pun has gotten me into understanding business.
Yeah.
Not to stroke our own balls here and kind of give ourselves own tickle pleasure, but man, we were out of a small studio. I recorded out of my bathroom for like 3 or 4 episodes, and we're here now, man. So like it's
I mean, you gotta
all
start
love.
somewhere and just keep grinding it out.
Yeah. And so I really appreciate you coming through here, man. Like I said, you're a whale to me, man. I mean, where you're Josh's friend, you're essentially a whale to me. You're Josh's buddy. You're a whale to me.
I'll take it. I sometimes of course, one thing I pride myself on and try and remain is humble.
That's a beautiful thing,
and
man.
Coming from my beginnings, I think that's easier because I wasn't handed things in life.
Yeah.
And, had to work my way up, and I know how it feels to feel like you're being held down.
Yeah.
And there's those moments of look who I am, but it's hearing that in some of the things. And these days, I to some degree, being an owner of Escobars, I get treated like a celebrity. I wear this chain to the Barton Creek one time, and all these Texas State College kids come up, and my girlfriend's there is a little tipsy, and they all got Escobars, and she's like, oh, yeah, he's Escobars. That's my boyfriend. He owns, he's one of the owners, and they all come down. They want business advice, and took a big group picture. And
You're like, yeah,
like,
man,
wow,
I'll give you business
Who would
advice.
ever thought get, famous over this product? But it's been cool. It's been an adventure. I've learned a lot, doing this new worldwide business of such scale. We've scaled immensely in 2 years, and it just seems impossible looking back at it.
Yeah, I mean, like the great thing with is like being around Josh and being around these interesting people is that's the whole reason we kind of started this thing. Is like we were joking that we were like, when I first talked to him, I'm like, I'm doing SUYL, and I'm gonna call it the map to McConaughey, and Matthew McConaughey is gonna be like my white whale.
Yeah, okay.
And then like after that it was gonna be Road to Rogan, and it was gonna be like Rogan's gonna be my white whale. And then we were just like, I don't want to interview famous people for the sake of famous people. I want to interview interesting people that got fun things to say and can hold up a conversation, because you could have a dry conversation with probably the most on paper should be the most interesting person in the world, but we were having a conversation with one of Josh's buddies yesterday, and he can't fangirl out when he's around the people he's around. He's got to maintain a sense of business. He's got to make sure that he's on work mode.
Absolutely.
So I can appreciate that now. I get to I have to be on work mode, man. I can't exactly fangirl out and be like, dude, the guy from Escobar's talking to me, and that's a great thing. It's all kind of like working towards maintaining a sense of like of accountability, so that you're able to have good conversations, and to know that that you're able to do really great things like you know, virgin markets in certain aspects of things that are coming up. I won't talk about them because I know nothing about them. But you have virgin aspects of things in your business that you're really excited about, and when they come to fruition, we can definitely have you back on here to talk about it if you want.
Absolutely.
And you know, we definitely pride ourselves in making sure that people feel comfortable here, and that's why shout out, y'all guys were talking about like kind of like, you know, making sure that like moving business forward or like keeping that momentum going. And shout out to Pun, because we're actually getting to be able to do this on the couch because of Pun's family.
Oh, nice.
So that's why we're able to get this like comfy kind of space. So,
Yeah, I like the spot.
man, we appreciate it so much. So one thing I can say, man, is I'm a food guy. I don't know how much you're on the food, how much you're like, you know, cook or eat. Like,
I mean, I cook or I stay so busy I don't eat as much. I'm not a big like foodie.
You're not a
per
big
se.
foodie?
Like, I can enjoy food.
Yeah,
but
so
I'm
like,
not a big
what's
foodie.
so since you're not much of a foodie, we won't stay on the topic too much. But like, what do you find yourself like going to? What's that staple meal? That kind of like going back to home meal?
Oh man, I don't even know.
Yeah.
One of my go-tos is just a Chipotle burrito. Honestly,
Nothing wrong with a good Chipotle burrito,
fast,
man.
healthy food.
It's so good, man. Chipotle is one of those, man. It like, it's just one of those good fun things.
One of my like my food, my like driver, my topic of food is adrenaline. I'm an adventurer. I like
yeah, man.
skydiving,
So yeah,
scuba diving, driving fast,
so
taking the risk.
you pulled up. We were gonna go grab something to drink, and you greeted us coming out of a spaceship, which was really nice because I've never seen a spaceship drive up. So it was like a
Tesla Model X.
yeah,
Plaid.
yeah. I just like to say you drove up in a spaceship, and you know. Yeah. Yeah, I took a ride in this beautiful
We didn't hit
spaceship.
the speed, but
Believe me, man, I would have been screaming like a
it's like a
high-toned,
roller coaster.
effeminate boy over there in the back of that Model X.
Model X.
Model X. See, man, and like I'm still back in the days. Like, when I first saw the Audi, what is it, the Audi A6 on Taken? No. It was a Jason Statham movie.
yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
And that's like my dream car.
Yeah,
I think it was like the Audi A6, and it was like
something like that.
all digitized.
Yeah, it was a sick
it was like
car.
so sad.
Sounded neat.
It was probably so sad. Now I'm sure someone now could probably break into that with like a cheap USB.
Right.
But yeah, man, and you were talking about this really cool, you know, kind of new toy that you're gonna get. I'll call it a toy because it seems really neat. It's
the airplane.
the airplane.
Icon A5.
Icon
yeah, I got
A5.
a killer deal on a little 2-seater seaplane, brand new, great technology. 13 hours, so I'm getting my sports license, and
yeah.
it's a really cool plane. It takes off on land or water, lands on land or water. Can
So
fly about 450 miles on a tank, 2 people.
So when you find yourself kind of searching for these adrenaline kind of bumps, like or hits, or just kind of dopamine rushes through fun stuff, where do you find yourself? You said skydiving.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily go looking for it. It just comes up. Might be something cool on a TikTok. I think that's actually, no, my father sent me. I've wanted to get my pilot's license for a while, and it's kind of been something I've talked about. And he's like, yeah, check out this plane. And so I started looking into it. And I ended up getting in a group for used airplanes and saw an ad one day on Facebook for a really great price for one. So
There's this really funny commercial where it's a retired football player. I can't think of what his name is, but he's doing this. He made it. It made it seem like it was possible for average people to get like this like taxiing plane kind of thing. It's this really funny, like fun kind of commercial that was a little bit kind of how would you say that? It was a little bit short-sighted in the way that he did the commercial, because it seemed like it was pretty much readily available to everybody, but of course it's very class kind of like closed.
It won't be long. I mean, you'd be surprised. You can actually get some cool 1-2-seaters for 60 to 100 grand. I know that's not for everybody, but
Oh, I mean,
you'll see here soon. You'll see drone cars and
Yeah.
stuff come out, and they'll be in the 6 figures, and they'll work their way down to the.
I think that
50,000s.
with everything, man, there's a general fear and anxiety of the new, and it kind of makes me laugh because if you go back and you see all like what the future was gonna be, I think a lot of that stuff probably got halted or held back just through probably private industry that was just
Yeah.
kind of not prepared or didn't want to lose certain money interests
Yeah,
in the
for
things
sure it did.
and the things that propagate a good quarter or a good next quarter,
Yeah.
which is fine. I mean, you know, you find like I said, man, I enjoy the things I enjoy, whether it's an Audi A6 or just, you pulling up in a Tesla Model X is just one of those things. I got to experience something new.
Yeah.
Made me happy. I was remarking on the cool things that it can do, whether it's seeing trash cans or you showing me that it can do autopilot on certain things. It's just all really neat, man. So you were, I was kind of going around Taylor, and that's like going around Taylor and kind of enjoying the local fair. What do you have that's kind of like your local fair that you like to get into?
Oh, mostly all I do is work, and when I get a free minute that I don't got nothing to do, just try and relax. So right now I'm kind of more in a work phase.
Work phase, yeah. That nothing wrong with that, man. Sometimes work can be the most relaxing thing you can do. You can get into that Zen state of like getting into the grind, and I know that every so often, whenever this is one of those places where even editing becomes kind of one of those things that becomes really enjoyable. But I appreciate you coming on to my podcast and letting me be Jonah for 2 seconds, pull down this white whale.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm happy to be here. I'm sure we'll do it again.
I'm excited to do it again. So is there one thing I kind of touched on it a little bit? Just give them a little rundown of what you think about the space.
No, I like it. It's seems like you guys started from truly the bottom, and I think you said you were working out of the house or something.
Yeah, I worked out of my bathroom for a couple episodes.
It's a nice little spot, and I can appreciate the hustle and ambition and drive to do what you're passionate about. So I think you guys will do well.
Well, we appreciate it, man. This was SUYL. Can I get your name again?
Justin Suriff.
And can I get the wonderful product that you're
a lot. If you're in the Austin area, my retail stores are Create a Sig. You can get your vapes and other alternative solutions there. Escobars, Pastel Cartel. You'll see that all over the nation, from convenience stores to vape shops, disposable brand and THC derivatives, and naturally hemps and naturally kratom. So check us out.
Well, thank you again, brother. Thank you for this wonderful podcast. Keeping an eye and an ear out for SUYL. And also thank you to Josh for a wonderful podcast before me on The Ones Who Woke Up. You can catch us on Monkey Mouth Studio.
All right. Cheers.
Shut up, you listen to my monkey.